Paranormal, where history whispers, shadows remember, and the unanswered still demand to be heard. Darkwoods Paranormal is a long form investigative and storytelling podcast exploring the spaces where documentary history, personal testimony, and the unexplained deep investigative research. This is where we take our time, we ask questions, and let the truth reveal itself on its own. Before we go any further, I want to invite you to visit darkwoodsparanormal.com. There you can listen to every episode, watch every full interview, explore our investigations, and reach out directly to us. If you have a location, a personal experience, or a story you believe deserves to be told, we want to hear from you. Reach out through the site because some stories don't wait to be buried. Darkwoods Paranormal is produced under Unbox Media LLC, a creative production company dedicated to immersive storytelling, investigative media, and independent voices. Standing alongside of me, of course, tonight is my producer, Raven Knight. Welcome, Raven. Raven is in the backbone of Darkwoods Paranormal research coordination, production, oversight, investigative development, and quite the prestigious person and kind of a pain in my keister. Before we introduce tonight's guest, a brief word of thanks to our two supporters here at Darkwoods Paranormal. I want to give a shout out to the Hudson House, a place built on community, great food, and stories in Northernton, Minnesota, and of course our friend Bob from Shaker's Cigar Bar in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. If you haven't stopped by there, tell them I said hi. Now our guest this evening is Shannon Johnson, researcher, specialist, and investigator. Shannon joined Kansas City Apex Paranormal in 2017, and she served as their lead research specialist, devoting her life to history, documentation, and the careful unraveling of what many overlook. Her work is not to be rushed. It is methodical, patient, and it's deep. Before stepping foot into a location, Shannon spends 4 to 6 months, sometimes more, researching. She combs through newspaper articles, interviews, first-hand accounts, and reaches out to individuals who lived, worked, or investigated nearby. She looks for the human details, the moments that never made it onto the official records. When planning an episode, Shannon designs custom investigative experiments tailored especially to each location. That's very smart, Shannon. Methods intended not just to capture evidence, but to understand what is haunting a place. I, of course, am your humble host, Gabriel Von Graves. Raven, welcome to the program. It's good to see you.
Well, thank you so much. It's good to
Yeah.
be here. Happy Sunday. I mean,
Happy Sunday. Yes.
we could be watching football because you know it's Super Bowl Sunday, but
You know, I
this is
am the only guy that does
this is
not
the
watch
way
football.
better.
I'm sure there's like one or two, but they don't have TVs. But other than that,
No, there's
I'm
more
like,
than you.
what? I don't
There's
know.
more
I
than
have
you.
never watched a football program.
I have met other men who do not watch football. You are not the only guy who does not watch any
So
sports.
there's two of us. That's fine.
Yeah. Oh,
Listen, and
yes.
for those
Well,
that watch
we
football,
know each
it's a fabulous sporting event, and you know the balls that they throw and they catch and they run back and forth. I mean, it's great. I can definitely. I just watching men chase each other. I don't know. It's not my thing. Let's just say, listen. They throw the balls, they catch the ball. There's guys that run around with black and white shirts. I love it. It's great. It's fun.
Those referees don't run
Yeah,
around. I don't know what you're
I
even
don't
talking
know. I don't know. But I do know Wisconsin loves their where we are produced out of, loves their football. They are the Green Bay Packers. Go green and gold,
Oh, you
right?
know that at least. There's
Yeah,
that.
well, it's painted everywhere here in Wisconsin. Can't go anywhere without. And then Minnesota, right next to us, that's purple and white, right?
Purple and
Pur-
yellow.
Purple and yellow. Yes, the
Okay.
Minnesota Vikings. Go Vikes! And who are they playing today? Is Wisconsin
I don't
playing
even know.
anybody?
No, Wisconsin's not. No,
Oh,
Wisconsin's not playing anybody.
okay.
I
Football
want to do.
season's end. I mean, I
This
know
is
they
it.
always. This is the last football game.
This is the last game. It's the Super Bowl.
Oh,
It's the
the
last. It's like,
Super Bowl. Isn't
yeah.
that the one where they have the puppies for us that don't watch?
That's the Puppy Bowl.
Yes.
Yeah,
Shannon,
yeah.
how are you? Thank you for the program. I apologize.
I wanted to
Welcome.
say, you said something about men chasing balls or
Yes.
something.
Men
I
chasing balls.
wanted to,
Yes.
I don't know, chasing each other or something like that.
Yeah.
We are going to dive into actually people chasing ghosts. How about we do that? Because
I
that,
am
for
all
us,
about chasing the ghosts who
it is like
also do not watch football. So allegedly.
allegedly.
Shannon, welcome to Darkwoods Paranormal. I apologize, of course. So we got off to a rocky start there. Um,
We were off to a rocky start today.
Very
Um,
entertaining.
well, tell us about yourself, Shannon. It's good to see you.
Yeah. Wait, what? My brain says,
we start with the most cliche question ever, and that
Yes.
is, how did you get your start in the paranormal? Like, where did your, because it sounds like you do for the Apex Paranormal group that you're a part of,
Yes.
but where did that even stem from? Was this something that came from your childhood, or was it your later adult years, or you just tell us how you got your start?
yeah. So I've had weird stuff that has gone on my entire life. I think my first initial experience started when I was in elementary school.
Hmm.
And then it got kind of intense when I lived in my hometown in North Carolina. We were in a brand new home, but it was a very active home. Um, but it was, I think it was like 2016 or early 17 was when I, my husband and I, we were fostering kids at the time. And our son, he wanted something to do. He was kind of bored. So we're like trying to figure out family stuff to do. And I was like, well, hey, I heard that this, place at Belvoir is haunted. And so we go and we walk around. And as we're getting ready to go in, I told our son, I said, what we were about to do, you are not to tell your caseworker about. And we walked into the abandoned part. So but we
That's
like
great.
it was the first time he had ever been anywhere haunted, and I mean I heard stories about it, but I had never experienced it there myself. And walking through there, it was incredible. We were hearing kids running around, playing. We were hearing a lot of voices, had shadow figures. That night we came home. Um, we I had watched things getting launched out of my stand up shower. And like a week later, my husband and I are sitting in our living room and we heard two little kids run from our bedroom all the way into our then daughter's room. So after that, I decided I'm going to start looking up some paranormal things. Like I want to see if they, allow people to join in as a guest, and asked my husband if he was interested in it, and he said, "Nope, that's your thing." so, so I kid you not, I went through almost every single team in Kansas City. And what drew me to Apex were their profile pictures on their website, because they were like posing in the cement windows of Missouri State Penitentiary. And I had said, that's the team I want to contact. So initially it was going to be, hey, can I join you on one of your investigations? It turned into, I know how to research and you need me on your team.
Hmm.
And had an interview with two of the team members. And then I believe it was like 2 weeks later, they had an event at Malvern Manor, and they asked me if I wanted to join. So went up there with them and attended their event. And I was hired when I was the first team member to ever do deprivation, other than Elijah, the team lead. So after that, he's like, "You're hired." And I've been with the team ever since.
Wow.
Kansas City is a beautiful area. We've spent some time in that area, and there's a lot of folklore, a lot of haunted locations. So it's a good
Yeah.
place to be, most certainly.
Yeah.
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 So I want to circle back a little bit to what you said about it sounded like you children running in the house. Is that what you?
Hmm.
Yes. Yeah. Um, so we lived in a mobile home in Independence, Missouri, and in a mobile home you could hear anything and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I had experienced haunted things like at every almost. My mom says it's not the place that's haunted, it's you. Like
Hmm.
literally everywhere I go, something happens. Like her house even knows when I'm coming to stay for a weekend. So we're in the living room. We had the windows open, and we heard little kids like kind of laughing and giggling. So we thought maybe it was our neighbors because our neighbors next to us had kids. We didn't see any kids outside. We had no TV on, no radio on, nothing. It was just silent. And yeah, we heard what sounded like a total 4 feet just running. I mean, we even felt the vibrations on the floor as it passed by our couch. Like, it was insane. I had never experienced anything like that before. It was pretty cool. My husband didn't care for it, but I did.
Shannon, did you research that place to figure out what was going on?
No, no, that was before I ever really did research. At that time, I relied heavily on paranormal shows for
Sure.
my information.
Mm.
So when I first started investigating, um, let's just put it this way. I was in a Zach Bagans frame of mind. Like, everything is demonic, everything is going to hurt you and cause issues and, create all, terror. And I would probably say after about 2, 3 years of being on the team was when I really started to look at things a little bit differently and started researching things a little bit differently. And that's when I was like, okay, it's not a Zach Bagans world. It's a paranormal world.
That's fascinating.
I love that. Could we say that that we're in a Zach Bagans state of mind? Could we use that? Like, I want to steal that as a quote, as something that I would. I'm just in a
Yeah, we can
Zach
do that.
Bagans
Yeah.
sort of mind today. You know?
The Zach Bagan of it
Right.
all. I think we've used that a couple times. Yeah.
Whoa, whoa. You know what I mean?
Right.
Okay. Sorry, sorry, Gabriel. Go ahead.
Oh, Shannon, you are a investigator and a paranormal researcher. So,
Hmm.
in in your mind, what does it take to be a paranormal researcher and or a paranormal investigator?
Well, to be a researcher, as you had stated in your introduction, it takes a lot of patience. And investigating as well. There are so many towns, like small towns, where you can dig and dig and dig and dig for information and find absolutely nothing.
Hmm.
Right.
Illinois is probably one of the states that I struggle the most with when it comes to finding information on a location. It's they have a lot. It's almost like they have a lot of secrets to hide. So that's when I will try and go other routes. I will
Hmm.
watch YouTube videos and snag like interviews that other teams do, and then I look up little words or little places and names and stuff like that. So you have to have patience to do research because it's not, you know, I'm gonna look up this place and I expect results in a week. It
Hmm.
takes months to
It does.
really get the results that you want and need for your
Right.
investigation.
Yeah. I'm interested in like the research part of it. So what I mean, I've done a lot of research in a lot of the stuff that I've done, but what what kind of work do you put in? I mean, people might not understand how much work it actually is to research. Where do you find your information? Like, where are you doing your research?
Just about anywhere. So I do a lot of stuff online. I used to go to libraries and all, but let's be honest, the stuff I learned about how to search for library books and stuff at the library in high school, I don't remember any of that. So, so, so I do a lot of it at home. I will use newspapers.com. I will use, what is it, Grace Finder. Um, I will type in certain phrases, places, cities, anything like that into Google, and I won't just choose like the first three. I will actually go through I will exhaust the entire list that Google will provide me and end up in a rabbit hole at some point because I'll go to one website, find information from there, and then grab that, type it into the search, give me another list. I will look up historical societies and I will go through every um, city information for every decade. If we're visiting a hospital, insane asylum, jail, I will locate prison records for inmates. I will locate records of patients who were there for umpteen years. So yes, it's a rabbit hole destination. I mean, it's never ending. So anywhere I can find the information, I will go there to find it.
So, what information are you looking for? Are you looking for anything that stands out? Anything odd, normal? Is that what you're trying to find?
I'm actually looking for anything that no one focuses on when they investigate.
I love that.
So a lot of times people go in and let's use what's a good place? Um, Trying to think. We'll use Malvern, for instance. Um, so in Malvern, everybody knows about um, the shadow figures that are on the second floor, what they call it, like blood hallway. The shadow figures that appear at the attic. They know about this gentleman that haunts the attic. They know about Gracie. So a lot of people that watch the YouTube videos, they think, okay, well, since this person haunts this area, this person haunts this area, that's all we know, that's what we're going for. I
Mm-hmm.
don't like doing that. So I will look for the opposite. Instead of focusing on who actually is haunting there, I want to know what is haunting there and who else is passing through. Because a lot of times when that doesn't get the attention and then you come in and you start questioning opposite of what everyone else does, you actually get the best activity.
So,
I love that. I
I
love
love
that.
that too. So, in your while you're investigating properties, there are whatever location, there has to be some kind of similarities that starting to develop. I would think that you find things that are haunted, like next to water or limestone, stuff like that. What is the coloration that you have noticed that kind of brings those elements together that enables either portals to open that bring in paranormal or things for people to stick around?
As far as like my experience on how it brings it all together,
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
yeah, you know, so there is that theory that
Right.
the railroad tracks, your water, your limestone. It's what I like to tell everyone when we do our events to kind of help explain it. I use a lot of analogies.
Right.
Is all of it, your limestone, your railroad tracks, and your water, it creates a circuit in a brain. So each circuit helps to create the electricity that your brain needs to communicate messages to the rest of your body. So that's kind of how it works at a haunted location. You have these three main elements, and it helps create the circuit to direct communication throughout the building or the land or what have you. However, there are some places that we've been to where we weren't that close to water, and we weren't that close to railroad tracks, but we may have had a building that was entirely made of limestone. I believe that it's really the location itself. How strong is it to hold the energy into it? Because if you have 100, and I actually just explained this to my husband this morning, if you have 100 people that walk through one building, and those 100 people have been to another haunted location, each person has a traveler. That's like thousands of spirits that you're also bringing into that location. So now you've just doubled and tripled the energy of that building. So, do those elements have something to do with it? Yes. But I think it's a lot more than that. I think it's a lot deeper than that. I think if you get enough electricity into one area, it's going to eventually just kind of do its own thing. It's going to run without the outlet to plug something into.
So, by the theory you just explained, is your premise that ghosts just latch and travel, which happens absolutely, but is that kind of okay? So, Raven and I can actually contest to that. We've been in places, and then we went to other places, and we've had things that happen in that place that's associated to the first place we were at. Um, but what keeps elements from not going? We have those places that seem to continuously being haunted, not because of individual, but because of the place. So I guess this is kind of a twofold. So what allows people to latch on and then jump off, like a bed bug or a cockroach, if you will? And then what also allows entities to stay without leaving?
I think the ones that stay without leaving, it's their own trauma or their own personal memories. It can even be good memories that keep them there. Because I mean, if they're really good memories, even if you're stuck in this continuous loop, you're not going to want to leave because that's a good memory. But also with trauma, I mean, just like any other living person, trauma, you can't just like, okay, see you later. It sticks for a while. And then again, if you're in this continuous loop, well, how are you going to get out? You're just going around in a circle 24/7, 365 days. So you can't really leave. You don't have that option. I think the ones that do freely leave, to be honest, I'm not sure why they can freely, detach from a place and then just leave. Um, I think it's a lot of people say it's because of portals, depending on where it, which I think that's a weird thing to say. I'm still kind of weird on the whole portal thing, but I don't know. I really don't know. I've had travelers before, but they're the ones that I connected deeply with in an investigation, and they would come home with me for 2, 3 days and then leave. And it's almost like they would go home. So it's like, you came to my place to check it out. No, I'm coming to yours. Try doing that with a psych patient that had borderline personality. That was that was intense. That was really intense. That lasted 3 days. I'm like, okay, I'm ready for you to go home.
So how do
But
you know that they're latched onto you? Like how do you know that? Do you have like are you sensitive, or is that something like, or are they doing something in the house that's making it apparent that they're there? Like how do you know that they're with you?
I am sensitive, but that would have nothing to do with it. 'Cause when I leave a place, I shut it off. So I don't know that they're coming with me until something happens. So like the psych patient that I had, We were living in a different city then, and my husband and I were going to bed, and I remember looking over on his side, and all I saw was this weird shadow, like ducking up and down from the window and going back and forth. And I was like, what is going on? And as we're getting ready to go to sleep, I told my husband, I said, I don't mean to scare you, but I'm kind of freaked out right now because I don't know what's going on. I said, but I'm seeing like what feels like 17 different personalities in this bedroom right now. And I mean, shadows everywhere. It felt like a room full of people. And my husband even noticed it. And it just little things will happen here and there, nothing to like really scare you that bad, just very subtle. And then they leave.
Hmm.
So,
Interesting.
are you sensitive? Or are you a medium?
Um, I don't like to use the word medium just because I feel like I'm not experienced enough.
Mm-hmm.
So like I can do remote views. Um, I've
Did you say you
done.
could do remote view?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
I can do a third party view, which is where I see things from the deceased person's point of view, which is kind of interesting.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I don't like to say medium because sometimes when you say that, someone can instantly say, "Oh, so you can talk to my dead grandma." No, and I choose not to. I feel like I would be setting myself up for failure there. But there are little things that I can do here and there. Yeah.
Hmm. Can you explain what remote view is to the people that are listening and or watching? Like, what is a remote
Yeah.
view?
So with the remote view, what I would do is I would tap in to a location. Um, a lot of times I will do it at random. So I'll just sit in a room where it's quiet, there's no sound at all, and I will kind of close my eyes to clear my mind. I have ADHD, so trying to clear my mind is a disaster. But I try. Um, if if it's during the day, I'll write everything that I see down. Sometimes I will do it while I'm driving, which I've had some of my psychic friends like, please don't do that. It
It
just
seems dangerous.
it just happens. Like I could be in the car talking to myself about random stuff, and then all of a sudden I will start seeing, like the other day, I started seeing this old, like colonial style home out in the farm that had no trees except in the backyard. I was seeing these big windows, like have no clue what house this was, who it belonged to. I saw the inside of it, who lived in it. Um, so I will either video record the things that I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, I'll write it down, or if I do it as I'm getting ready to go to bed, which is also something you should not do. Um, a lot of times I will remember exactly what I viewed the next morning when I get up, so I will hurry up and jot it down. Because sometimes it ends up being a place that we investigate. There was one time I did it, and it was relating to a close friend of mine at the time, and it was stuff that involved one of their friends
Hmm.
that I knew nothing about.
That's
Interesting.
very very fascinating. So to kind of backstep a little bit about things that latch on and kind of move to locations. So in your theory, they just go back to where they come, or do they just go somewhere else?
I have
It's a
no
mystery. I love
idea.
that. No, I love that.
It is,
It's a mystery.
yeah,
I love that. And
I
you
mean, if
said you
I was
were,
a ghost or a spirit, I would just go wherever too. Honestly,
yeah.
like why
I mean,
stay
why
in one
not?
place?
Why
You
not
have the
go
freedom to just go wherever. Why not?
somewhere
Yeah.
warm? You know,
That that was like the beach. I would, yep,
right?
the tiki bar.
Yeah.
I'm going to be that person that's going to hide in someone's closet just for pure entertainment.
Uh,
Hide under
in
the
your
bed, grab the ankles.
in your investigations, Shannon, what was the most disturbing place that you investigated?
Oh man. Um, there's there's quite a few. There's some that have left me speechless.
Hmm.
Um, we were at Ashmore Estates. This one just right off the top of my head. We were filming at Ashmore Estates. Our team had been there, I think, twice before this last time we investigated. Never had an experience like I did until last year. I was super jumpy. I was seeing, um, I, I was seeing full figures of men, but almost like very aggressive men on the, I think it's third floor. There, something was just off about that whole weekend. I don't know what it was. Um, we, our last session, we had the weirdest things happening in a room that is dedicated to one of the um, volunteers that had worked there. She had passed away a couple years back, but we kept hearing a lot of noises coming from her room. So we thought maybe it was her because at one point earlier that weekend we were in communication with her, but it wasn't making sense. And one of my other team members, Morgan, she kept saying, you know, that she was feeling really off. She, when her chest was feeling really heavy. She felt like somebody was trying to manipulate her emotions a little. And while we're sitting there, I remember feeling a cold breeze on my left side. And I remember telling Eliza and Morgan, and all of a sudden I put something down on the ground because I felt like I was gonna black out. I felt so dizzy. I had no idea what was going on. And as I was getting ready to tell Elijah, like, I think I'm gonna pass out. I said, something's not right. I don't know what's wrong, but something's not right. And I just went into a full blown crying. I mean, I was crying hard. I had the quickest flash of someone's life as they were a psych patient. I saw what she looked like, the abuse she went through. I was getting pains in my arm, like somebody had grabbed it as tight as they could and were yanking it as hard as they could. Um, I felt every heartbreak she ever had. It was it was intense. Like I still get kind of worked up, like even talking about it because it was intense. Like I had never experienced anything like that in my life. And after that session, I kept saying, what just happened? And I kept asking myself, like, what happened to her and why? Like, I don't understand why I experienced this. And every one of us heard my name being said. And then I heard a female voice right after that saying, it's because I died.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't go to bed that night. I actually sat up with our other team member, Jenny, and I cried for 2 hours because I couldn't understand it. I don't, I still can't. I still don't understand. If you can leave me speechless like that at a location, that's a dang good location.
Right. Wow.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah.
I know that in your research, when you have been researching, you've uncovered some interesting things. So we're going to play that as well. Like, what is the most interesting thing that you have uncovered doing research that people have not uncovered before, I should say?
So Bear Mansion was one of our locations that we used to run a lot of events at in Independence, Missouri. And during my research, because I think we had events there for the 3 or 4 years, but I don't remember where I was looking, but I remember I spent like 2, 3 days digging for whatever I could find. And in some site, I don't even remember what site it was. I came across what looked like journal entries.
Wow.
And reading through these entries, I ended up printing them out so I can read through them. But it was from a matron that was there at the time when it was in asylum. She gave incredible description of the inside of the asylum back when it was running. So it was, I think, early 1900s. She described where the patient rooms were, where her like where her quarters or office was. She described this one patient. She was a psych patient on the third floor, and she had said that she went upstairs to go check on the patient and had discovered this patient outside of her window attempting to jump because she said that she was a bird and she knew she could fly. And um, she would go into detailed stories like that about her patients that she would care for. It was absolutely incredible. Like I'm like, I don't know how I think I still have the journal entries. Um, but anybody that I've talked to at those that I know that research just as much, I've asked them like, have you guys ever seen this before? And they're like, nope. So some of that information, when I find it that compelling, I will give it to the location and I will tell them like, hey, I did some digging and this is what I found and I want you guys to have a copy of it. But that was the coolest find.
That is really cool. That is
Yeah.
really cool that you were able to find that, and also that you give it to the location. We know that as paranormal investigators, that sometimes the rehashing of just information that where did that even come from? We talk a lot about the Sally House, which I'm sure you're familiar with, being in that area. But we talk a lot about the Sally House and how like the story about the little girl named Sally that lived in the house or died in the house, not lived in the house, but died in the house. But then if you do any just a little quick Google search, there's no little girl named Sally that was, there's no death certificate for a little girl named Sally. Um,
Yeah, that actually, that's one of the locations that I create like these fancy reports that have pictures and all that other stuff. And that was one of the locations that I completed one of my packets for. And I think her name was Maria that used to work um, for the city of Atchison. I think we talked to her a lot. This was like years ago. But I completed a report and I gave it to her because I even told her then, I said, I actually met somebody whose family used to live here.
Mm-hmm.
And um, her, because I think there was rumors that her kids had drew the pentagram on the basement floor. And she's like, she said, that never happened. My kids don't do that.
mhm.
She said, my sons never experienced anything while they lived here. And I guess her and her ex, I think it was her ex-husband, they were renting the home. And she said they didn't experience anything, this crazy stuff that they had come up with, saying, that it involved two teenage boys. That's not true. So I had talked to her and I'd gotten a lot of information from her and went through, got a lot more information from the internet, put this report together, and I'm like, here you go. I mean, what she did with it, I don't know, but yeah, there are so many stories about the location that are not even close to being
Well,
true.
sensationalizing a place, not to pick on the Sally House for profit, isn't a new thing in the paranormal world. We find a lot of things, but then again, um, it is very conceivable, at least in my mind, that with something like the Sally House that had the begging of it all, if you will, and everybody else that has been there, they could very likely have brought whatever source is there. I know when Rave and I were there, we were there twice. The first time we experienced things, the second time we did not. It's very
Mm-hmm.
possible that portals happen in that house, or whatever was there left with somebody that was there investigating, right? So a lot of this, I think, is people go into a location, manifesting things to happen. I know that Raven and I were at a location before we went to the Sally house, and whatever was there definitely did come with us into the Sally
Hiked.
house. You know,
Just like you were talking about, it was a hitchhiker for sure.
yeah, it was. But I think there's so many paranormal investigators that go there, that they do open up certain aspects of that house that isn't natural, because of them being
Mm-hmm.
there, just by wanting that kind of sensationalization. But we've been in locations that were not haunted, but were there. I mean, I've been in houses that were not in any history book about being haunted, and there definitely was situations that you stopped and you're like, yeah, this place I'm not alone in. So
Mm-hmm.
you know I value that into the individual. I think spirits, or whatever ghosts are, whatever the individual thinks that they are, I think they do travel from location to location. They're not stuck in a certain location. I At least in my perspective. What do you think, Raven?
I agree with you there. I mean, I really do. I think that people also project things or people bring things in or whatever, all of the things that you're just saying. I 100% agree with you. And I don't know about being stuck. I do know that we've talked to some people that do believe that spirits are stuck in a certain place because
Right.
that's where they feel comfortable. They're not able to leave. We just talked to our guest on Thursday. And that's what they believed, like that, sometimes spirits are stuck, but maybe they're not stuck in that location, but they are stuck here because they're just not able to pass. They just can't. They're too afraid to do so.
Well, on
So,
that, let's bring up the lighthouse in Michigan. I think the location is a good example that sometimes things just draw things. I mean,
mhm.
it's a beacon of hope, and people that lost that hope at the end, they're more than likely their energy is drawn to something of hope. I think that's very conceivable. But when we were there, we didn't really experience a whole lot. However, there were elements there that I do believe if we continued down the path, we would have probably discovered, like that room that was shut, that you could definitely tell on the other side of that room there was something waiting, that
Something
that that
you
was
want
a,
to
that was baiting us. Yeah, absolutely.
have.
It wanted the okay to leave that area. But a lot of that area seemed very calm. But then again, when we were upstairs in that lighthouse, there were rooms that I did not get the sense that I was alone there. But it could have been traveled, from other people, or it could just been the location.
And we kind of talk about that too. Like Shannon, do you believe in projection? Do you believe that people can actually manifest? Let's say, somebody goes into a space and they are like they're already thinking all of these things are going to happen and they
Hmm.
just actually manifest it. Because I will say that Gabriel and I walk into a space and we're a little bit more calm. We're not like
Hmm.
the Baggins of it all. I love that. I'm going to use
All
it
right.
all the time now.
Yeah.
We're
Use it.
not like that. We're not like whoa, 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 right? But we're in there and we're calm and we don't provoke and we just kind of let things happen organically.
We
But
generally don't use the word bro. That kind of sets it apart a little bit. Bro,
I have
do you hear that?
teenagers. I have teenagers.
Yeah, so do I.
I hear bro all the time. I just don't use it. But do you think that, somebody going into a space and they're already so ramped up and they're already afraid and they're already having all of these feelings that then they are just genuine or like manifesting it or making it happen?
Projecting it, absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. Actually, and I'm glad you brought that up because Monroe's house is where I had started to change the way I perceived what is haunting a location. Um, it was just me, Elijah, and our team member Eddie, and everyone calls the Monroe house the demon house. Well, everything is the
Mm-hmm.
demon house, but it there was this specific room that has a Ouija board in it, and there's supposedly this malevolent thing that kind of hides out in that room. So Elijah and I are in there. We're investigating. And we had the spirit box going. We had some responses, not all. And we kind of get into this deep conversation, but to make it short, I told Elijah, I said, what if whatever is here is not malevolent, is not dark, is not negative? What if whatever is here has conformed to the idea, well, since this is what they're looking for, and they have no interest in talking to me, then I might as well just play that role. So give the audience what they want. They're paying, right? So might as well make them happy. So what if this person was never able to begin with, but now they are because that's what the audience wants?
Wow.
The
It's like they're
showmanship
doing,
of it, absolutely.
yeah, they're putting on a show, or like,
Yeah.
hey,
Right.
well, are you, you think I'm this way? Why not? Well, that's interesting. I like that. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It does.
I think a lot of spirits that haunt a place, and yes, I do believe things can manifest to an extent. It's something that I'm still kind of iffy on. But I do think that a lot of spirits will take on a role of what the person that's there investigating wants them to be. Because, it's when you've got too many nice spirits, well, that's not going to make a good YouTube episode. Nobody wants to see nice spirits.
That's not going to make it on TV, right?
Exactly, exactly. So it's like if they're not going to talk to me, then I guess I might as well just go ahead, start scratching people and pulling hair and wreaking havoc, because that's how I'm going to get the attention that I want.
So to go back a little bit, was the place that you lived, was that your first experience with the paranormal that intrigued you, or did you have something happen to you as a child like the rest of us?
As a child,
Yeah.
yes. So my dad's a jerk. I'm just going to go ahead and say this first off. And there's a reason why I'm saying this. So in high school, I was living in North Carolina, and we had this large front patio that we had some like wicker furniture on. I believe my parents were in bed. So like my parents' room was on one end of the house, and mine and my brother's room was on the other end. And I was in the room, in my bedroom, and I was trying to fall asleep, and I woke up to what sounded like somebody whispering hard and loud enough to where I could hear their breath in my ear.
Hmm.
And it scared the crap out of me. So I woke up, I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And then it sounded like somebody grabbed a hold of the wicker furniture and was dragging it up and down the patio. I look outside, there's no wind, there's nobody out there. And then I go in the bathroom and I'm hearing scratching in the vent. I started panicking. So I'm like, I'm 18 and I'm running to mom and dad. I'm running
Right.
into their bedroom. So I go and get my parents and I'm freaking out. They come into the bathroom. I'm explaining everything that just happened. Please don't say the name of this doll, but I have a fear of this doll that's in a movie
Don't say the name.
Don't say the name.
of Child's Play. Okay, don't say the name. I will freak out.
Let's call the doll Mark. Let's call the doll Mark,
That'll
then you
work.
don't have to worry about it. Yeah.
That'll work.
Richard.
We'll call it
Richard, because nobody would name a doll Richard. Let's call her Richard. Go ahead.
There is a doll named Richard.
What? Then we'll go back to Mark. We'll go back to Mark.
Don't
Fine.
Mark.
Back to Mark. Back to Mark.
So my parents know that I am petrified. I have been for years of this doll. So even just saying its name will give me
Mark.
horrific nightmares.
Right.
Yes. So as I'm explaining this story, my dad says, "Oh, don't worry, it's probably just Mark in the vent."
That's right.
I don't even think my feet
Right.
touch the ground.
Your
when I
dad's
jumped into
awesome,
my
by the
mom's
way.
house. My dad's a jerk. but, but Yeah, that was probably when you asked for most memorable. That's the first one that comes to mind.
Oh
It
wow.
was
Yeah.
intense because I think it was like a couple weeks after that. I came home from school and my mom said that because we had a frog, a front room over the living room.
Hmm.
Um, she was playing with our dog and the tennis ball was left in the frog. And she said that she was watching TV and she said it sounded like somebody went up the stairs and all of a sudden she heard the tennis ball and saw it come down the stairs.
Huh.
Yep,
And
Wow.
this was in North Carolina.
yep,
Huh. Okay.
But you
yeah,
brought up
yep.
an interesting thing when we first started talking to you, and that was that you said every place that you've been in has been haunted.
Mhm.
So it's
Mhm.
probably not the location that's haunted. It might just be you, Shannon.
Oh,
So
100%. 100%.
Why
so
do you have any like why would you
what would haunt you? Do you
yeah,
think
that's
would you think it's a relative? Did you I don't know, do bad things as a child and conquer something? I mean, you know.
Bad things as a child, yes.
Okay,
Um,
well that's usually where it
but
starts.
but no, honestly I have no idea. The my first memory, I was laying in bed. Like I said, I was elementary school, so I think I was in first grade, and I had to get my dad a couple times, and they were having a party downstairs in the living room. Um, but I kept waking up because there was this intense bright light that was shining in my face. And at the time, I thought, oh, maybe it's part of the alarm clock because
Hmm.
I told my dad, I said, there's a white light that's coming out of my alarm clock. And
Hmm.
he said, I don't know what you're talking about. There's no light that comes out of the alarm. And then when he went downstairs a little bit later, same white light, but this time it's on the end of my bed. And it was just insanely bright. And as soon as I'd open my eyes, it was gone.
Could you
mm,
feel the heat from it too, or
Um,
was it just the light?
no, just the light.
Just light.
Yep. And I didn't experience anything after that
Hmm.
until I was 18.
interesting.
That's a lie. Nope, that's
Quit
a
lying
lie.
to us, Shannon.
Yeah, no. Another experience, I played with the Ouija board for the first time in a friend's basement. I was in
Don't ever
middle
do
school.
that.
That was a bad decision.
Yeah, they usually are. Yeah. Well, so
Yeah,
when you decided to do the Ouija board, which is don't ever do, kids, um, what happened?
we had no idea what. So
Of
I will
course
play
you
with
did. If you
one
knew what you
now,
did, you would
but I
never
know
learn it.
what I'm
Yeah.
doing now.
Right.
But yeah, no. Then I thought it was all fun and games, no big deal.
I always do.
But it was it was me and three or four other girls who were having a sleepover. And so, of course, at that time we
Bunch
were
of
all kind of
girls sleep over
dancing,
Ouija board. I've seen this
around,
movie a couple
you
times.
like
I've
that?
done
Yeah.
those.
Yeah, it stellar scenes in that
Right.
movie.
Right.
um, I don't remember what we were asking that led up to this moment, but at some point, I remember the planchette started moving out of control, like it was
Mm,
doing a figure eight. Um, and then vaguely remember somebody saying to stop, and then I asked who is here, and it wouldn't say anything. And one of my friends said, "Tell us where you're at." And all of a sudden, everything stopped. It was like the weirdest silence. It was the loudest silence. And I never experienced anything like that. And all of us, right after that, we heard like what sounded like really long fingernails on the sliding glass door tap 3 times and
Hmm.
then drag down the window.
Did you guys make this Ouija board or was it store bought?
It was store bought.
Okay.
Yeah, I threw it in the trash after that.
Yeah.
mm.
Without closing it out first. Yeah. No, I mean that's
Yeah,
no,
There's that.
yeah, yeah. So it
right.
was after that I didn't experience anything until I was 18.
Nice.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, as an adult, how do you deal with going into a place? We've all been to places where you go in and you can feel that there's something unsettling in the property. But on the other side, we've been to places and you could feel the warmth inside of it. So when you enter those places that you can definitely tell may not be a vacant space, what is it that you do?
Um, I don't. I have learned when I go into a location to automatically, at least the first day, completely close myself off.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Don't allow
Because
anything
I
in.
don't
Absolutely.
exactly.
Yeah.
Um, so I like to walk in there completely closed off, but still be able to kind of feel some form of vibe in there. So that
Right.
way I know this is going to make for a really good dramatic ending of our episode, or we're going to need to touch on this area a little more because something seems off. Not bad, but off.
Right.
Um, I don't. There's a lot of times too when you walk in to something like that, like the house in Atchison. It'll
Right.
feel like a natural home, all great and dandy, and then you've got World War III happening in just 2 hours after entering.
So when we were there, we were there with Chumming with the Spirits. By the way, Parachum says hi. Um, and we were there are some parts of that house that the gentleman that we were with, Parachum, actually fell asleep, and he's kind of a scaredy cat. Sorry about that, but
It's very
and
jumpy.
yeah, he's very jumpy. But
Jumpier
then
than you, Gabriel.
certain past a certain hour, things changed. You could definitely feel the switch. So what do you think
Yeah.
about the witching hours? Do you think it's an hour, a time of the day that is more prevalent to kind of house these kinds of experiences, or do you think it's just circumstances?
I think it all depends on who is there,
Mm.
um, what the building knows is going to trigger that person, if they've got enough energy to feed into it.
Mm.
Um, because it was actually, this is something I had just said to Stephanie from Making Pure Villa the other day. It's not a, it's not the location so much that doesn't feel like interacting. It can have a lot to do with one person
The conductor,
or
absolutely.
of a group, yeah, or an entire group. If
Right.
that energy is blocked, you're not going to get anything.
You
If
know,
you're with one person in the group,
absolutely.
you're not going
We've been in places that like the lighthouse. I love lighthouses. I actually wanted something to happen, and there was nothing happening. So
Yeah.
sometimes it works in reverse. Sometimes
to get anything.
we've been in locations, and I'm like, whatever's happening here needs to stop, and it just elevated.
Yeah, yeah. There's been times when we've had events and we're not getting any activity when I know that where I am posting this group, activity always happens. But if it's not
Yeah.
happening, I already know before I walk in, I might be that person tonight. So if nothing happens, I will tell the group, hey, guess what? I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to step out because I have a feeling that these spirits have an issue with me tonight. 9 times out of 10, I walk out, they get activity. And it's because I have personal stuff going on. So I'm blocking whatever is meant to happen for that group to happen.
Absolutely. Well,
Wow. So that actually, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, though. I mean, honestly, if we've been, I want to touch back on the lighthouse real quick, just
yeah.
because right before we even started doing an investigation, we felt that there was something there. Like we
Oh,
definitely felt there
absolutely.
was something there.
Uh,
Certain rooms you'd walk into, like, oh yeah, and we were thinking, of course, well, we're gonna have a great investigation, and then they had a
there was
tour
a
go
storm
through
rolling in. Remember, there's that big storm rolling
storm.
in, and we're
We're like,
like,
oh,
yeah,
all of the
everything's
elements of
set up.
everything.
Yeah, and not a
But then
thing.
they had a tour,
Right.
like
A
a
bunch
tour
of
group come
energies.
through,
Yeah.
and they do a little
Yeah.
like a little thing at the in the basement or whatever it was, and also all of those people were there, and it was you know, I don't know how much you believe in like the trip lights or whatever, but it was
Like
answering
cat
the
calls going on, and
it
yeah.
was answering all those questions. And then when it came time for us to do our investigation, we got nothing. Like nothing at all. It
Well,
was like, okay, done.
we say nothing, but as I was talking to Trish, some black
Oh
mass
yeah.
jumped out of your bag. So I mean,
Yeah, the
there
bag
was
that I
that.
still had. Yeah, there,
All right,
yeah.
all right.
There's
But
that.
then again, Shannon, we were in places that just wouldn't shut off the whole time. There was
Yeah.
just something going on there, and regardless of what we wanted, it wouldn't stop. It was just elevated and elevated and elevated. You could just feel the air like electricity, and then all of a sudden,
Mm-hmm.
snap! It was gone, just gone,
Yeah,
like it burnt itself out like a candle,
yeah. It
or moved on. I
there's
mean, it depends.
who was KSP, Kansas State Penitentiary.
Hmm.
Mm.
That's a location that we just partnered with last year, and so we host a lot of events there. One location of that prison has burst sessions. I mean, it's insane, and it's only this one part of the prison where everything will happen all at once for 10 minutes, and then it stops, and then it will happen again like 45 minutes later, and then it
Hmm.
stops, and it's like, what in the world?
For me at least, and you can answer for yourself, but the scariest places we've been were kind of the psychological aspect of it, where you dreamt about it before, and I think you know what I'm referring
Yes,
to, and you dream about it afterwards. And the troubling thing is, before we went to the location, I'm sure you're gonna mention what it is. I actually dreamt that location. I actually kind of knew the house before I even got there, and that alarmed me a little bit. That I was already familiar with that space, and that space continued in my dreams, for at least a couple months afterwards. Like it was like calling me back in a way, but it was like toying with me. And I'm sure you know what space
yeah.
I'm talking about.
Which
Atchison.
one? Oh, okay. Because the way you were describing it was very similar to something like almost identical to the same type of dream that I had, but it was for Baby Mansion.
Oh,
Mm.
And that was before it was even on the market for people to investigate.
oh wow, fantastic.
Before I even joined the team.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah. I I think that's when you know a location's going to be intense.
Right.
Is
Yeah.
when you're having dreams about it before you either talk about going or you've even stepped inside of it.
Right.
And you kind of forget about the dream, but then when you walk in, it's like it all comes flooding in.
Well,
And then you're like,
that place in
holy
Atchison, when I walked in there, it welcomed me, and I think we had some activity before we even got inside the house. We have a recording with, orbs, which you either believe them or you don't, but in broad daylight,
yeah,
floating around is always kind of an interesting capture, I think.
yeah, holy cow. So did anything like crazy happen in your dreams?
Yeah, yeah, it did, and I share little bits and pieces of it, like it would guide me around the house. I I I I feel my body kind of leave, being pulled to that direction. Um, I think it
Yeah.
taunted me a little bit in my dreams, and that's why we were kind of shocked, even with the calling and feeling welcoming. That house felt really steady until it didn't, and
Until it didn't.
then when it wrapped up,
Yeah.
it wrapped up high, and then it
Yeah.
died real quick. Like I remember
Hmm.
sitting in the nursery with all these, haunted dolls, if you will, knowing that there is no history of a little girl, which kind of just told me that it was more than likely a demon, right? I mean, because demonology will
Hmm.
tell you it comes on you sideways. It doesn't come to you straight on. It likes to
Right.
kind of come to you sideways. And so I'm sitting there knowing that there's no little girl, and just kind of wondering, what conversations all these folks have had with a demon, just trying to get information, But it was a comfortable house until it wasn't. So
Yeah. It's that house is something else. We any place that is named demonic at all, we don't believe it. usually it's just a lot of very angry spirits.
Absolutely.
9 times out of 10. That house, I will say, is demonic. Um, I that was the first time I had ever encountered something like that,
Mm.
and I was paranoid for 6 months straight
Hmm.
after being there.
Oh yeah.
We did a double Estes session whenever we had an event there, and I, in just a matter of 5 minutes, all I remember, and I won't repeat the words because a lot of them are cuss words that Eddie was saying, but
Yeah.
Eddie was he was cussing or repeating what he was hearing through the SB7.
Hmm.
The woman that was in the kids' room was saying, um, "He's coming. Jesus is dead." Then the energy felt. I can't even describe how intense it felt because I was in the hallway and I was doing a live video, and then I heard this most undescribable noise. It almost sounded like a cat you would hear from Pet Cemetery right
No.
next to me. It was not natural. Like it
Mhm.
wasn't an actual animal. And it terrified me. I, yeah, it was bad. Yeah, yep,
Wow.
man,
Wow.
yeah,
So how
that
many
house is something else.
how many investigations do you guys usually do? Do you do people's homes, or is it just kind of commercial properties as well?
We try not to do homes just because homes are more personal.
Absolutely.
Um, we do have people that reach out to us and explain to us, this is what's going on with my home. And we have some of our team members um, are able to approach that in a more therapeutic way,
Hmm.
and discover that a lot of it is stress related, trauma related.
Mm.
There was one that we visited that was showing signs of activity,
Hmm.
but we brought in another team that was a little more experienced because it was
Know
a
your
home in
limits. Yeah.
Kingsville. Yeah, so we brought them in to kind of help them out. Um, so it's mainly a lot of like well-known places, commercial places that are purchased but not yet out there to be investigated.
Right. I
Wow.
love that. Well, Shannon, as we kind of wrap things up, and I appreciate your time. How do people reach out to you?
So they can, if they want to reach out to us, you can visit theapexparanormal.com. That's our website. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And for YouTube, it's Apex Paranormal. I had to think about it. My brain is ready to shut down.
No, it's all good. Well, as we bring tonight's investigation to our show to a close, I want to extend a sincere thank you to our guest, Shannon Johnson, for sharing not only her research, but her discipline, patience, and respect she brings to every location she investigates. That's fabulous. This is the kind of work that preserves history, honors those connected to it, and reminds us that the past still speaks if we were willing to listen. Isn't that so true? Darkwoods Paranormal is proudly produced once again from Unbox Media LLC, and I want to extend a thank you to you, Raven. Thanks for being here. We appreciate it. For more episodes, full interviews, and information on our investigators, please visit darkwoodsparanormal.com. We also want to thank all our supporters tonight. Once again, I'm Gabriel Von Graves, and on behalf of everyone here at Darkwoods Paranormal and Shannon, we thank you guys very much for spending the evening with us. Until next time, stay aware, stay curious, and most of all, my friends, do stay safe out there. Shannon, why don't you hang on for a few minutes?
Sure.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
Absolutely.